your hand if you're glad to be here tonight. Now, keep them up, keep them up, keep them up if you voted for Trump. Oh, we got a couple here. Dave is going to come up on stage and welcome you. Dave, are you ready?
The Guardian article, but I found the interview.
How you guys doing tonight? I think it's important for Hartwood to, as we welcome you guys, to let everybody know that everyone's welcome in Hartwood. If you're a Trump supporter, all right, this is why somebody shut me down, but like, if you're a Trump supporter, you're welcome as well, but just, you probably shouldn't announce it. Not that we don't think that you can come back across and regain your sanity, but we love everybody and we want everybody just welcomed in the sacred space, and we want to thank you guys. And how amazing would it be if Kat actually showed up and had a real conversation with us? I hope she does. That would be a brave thing for her to do, but we'll see what happens. Thank y'all.
Yeah, I'm glad me and my friends put this thing together tonight. We're really glad you're a part of it. We need more and more things like this so we can talk about these important things going on in our country apart. It's never happened in 250 years. And here we are tonight to talk about it. So it's supposed to be a serious gathering. Our president is about to declare war on Greenland, Canada, paper straws. This guy's so unhinged. We never know what he's going to do. Never know what's going to be in the news the next day. But tonight we have a chance to talk about all these things and discuss what we can do to stop it and bring our democracy back. There is a chance she could show up. If she does, she comes to the door and she'll sit down and we'll ask her these questions. But in the meantime, we've got
An empty chair.
still empty. Greg, the stage is yours.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Glenn, and thank you everybody for this opportunity. And it's indeed an honor to be your moderator for tonight's discussion between your Congressperson Cammack and you, the people that she represents. So thank you. Thanks for joining us tonight in the Bob McPeak listening room. Yeah, Bob was a dear friend, and this place is a gem in the cultural fabric of Gainesville, to say the least. So all hail to Hartwood, and thanks for hosting. I see a lot of folks I know out here, a lot of like-minded people. I know a lot of us are on the same page, but like Glenn said, it's important to have conversation, if for no other reason, but to raise our spirits a little bit, to enhance our well-being in these times of darkness. So thanks for joining us to raise our frequency tonight and get a few things off our chest, probably. It's a pleasure to be up here on this stage. Unfortunately, our guest of honor, Cammack, has decided evidently not to join us. So you all will have opportunities to ask questions. We have some questions already submitted, and we'll deal with those, but everybody will have a little chance to join in the discussion after the person asks their question. We'll have about 3 minutes, and we have to time it pretty carefully because we're here for an hour, and we have a lot of infotainment to pack in. So Glenn, where's Glenn? Is there any sign of her yet before we get started? Wait, the door just opened. She hasn't shown up, Glenn?
Not yet.
Okay.
Kat, you in the audience?
Yeah, I like by the way, I like your idea, Glenn, of doing this again, and I like your moniker of a cat chat. I think that's great, cat chat. Let's get started. The first question is from Lauren Millard. Is Lauren here?
I'm here.
Okay, come on up, Lauren. And would you like to ask your question, or would you like to?
I would, I want to miss the opportunity.
Okay, yeah, she's right here. Make sure you make eye contact.
I'm concerned about threats you've made to our rights to free speech and public information, specifically House Bill 1595 that you introduced in February to end funding for public radio, national public radio. The NPR is staffed by professional journalists that we have come to love and depend on for non-biased, non-commercial information. And actually, the Trump administration is also threatening to end all funding for PBS. So at the end of this month. So, and a number of other things to suppress free speech and a free press, but that's a topic for another town hall. What would you, we want to know, what will you do? How will you change your approach to ensure that public radio and public television can continue? And what will you do to see that public broadcasters and all journalists, for that matter, can speak their minds, even if you don't agree all the time or any of the time with what they have to say? So, what do you have to
There's no response. If she were here, what would you like to say to her about what she would do on our behalf?
Well, what I would really like to see Ms. Cammack and her Republican colleagues do is to stand up and reassert their roles in oversight of the executive branch and hold the administration accountable for free speech and free press and its efforts to diminish or eliminate our rights to those things. Actually, yesterday there was a small note of optimism. The courts did halt efforts to defund, to obliterate a couple of federally funded news outlets, but we should not have to rely on the courts.
Great, The next question is from Terry Hamill.
Cool.
Terry, take the mic. Thank
Yes,
you.
Ms. Cammack. In 2011, 37 young children and their teachers were murdered by an AR-15 wielding 20-year-old at Sandy Hook Elementary School. In Uvalde, Texas, 19 children and 2 teachers were killed by an 18-year-old with an AR-15. Just 6 days ago, a 20-year-old shot 7 people at Florida State University. 2 of them died. And of course, in 2018, 17 were killed in Parkland, Florida's high school massacre by a 19-year-old with an AR-15 style weapon of war. One of them, ma'am, was Carmen Shentup, my neighbor's granddaughter. This country has more gun violence than any other developed country. What have you done, and what are you going to do to reduce gun violence in America? That much, huh?
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers?
Not much.
Thoughts and prayers.
It's your turn to talk. Evidently, she's not going to say anything. What would you like to say to her if she were here?
I would like to hear her say that she supports universal background checks and gun licensing. That she sponsored legislation manning safe gun storage and holding gun owners responsible for unauthorized use of their firearms. For 10 years, this country had a ban on the manufacture of assault rifles.
Yes.
And the Second Amendment survived. So maybe we could revisit that proposal?
These assholes.
I'd like to hear Representative Cammack say that she has read and understood the literature that indicates that the brain does not mature fully in its decision-making capabilities until age 21. So, how about no gun purchases and no unsupervised use of guns until the age of 21? That doesn't require reading and understanding of literature. She just sent me an email where she repeated the lie that Musk and Doge found $55 billion in spending. So I don't think she's so good at feathering out truth from fiction. Now, there's plenty more we could say on the topic, but our democracy is cratering. So maybe I should yield the floor and let's talk about some other issues.
It's absolutely insane. Our country can't reduce gun violence. It's crazy. And Cammack, waltzing around with a shotgun over a shoulder doesn't help at all. I just wanted to point out that gun violence is the leading cause of death in this country for kids between the ages of 2 and 17. The leading cause of death. On the average, 7 children die from gunfire in our country every day.
Measles is trying to catch up.
Yeah, the measles are gonna catch up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Terry. The next question comes from Tony Oliver Smith. Is he here? There he is. Tony, the mic is yours.
Representative Cammack, Donald Trump nominated Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is an infamous vaccine denier, to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services. After being confirmed by the Senate, Kennedy has consistently and falsely downplayed the effectiveness of the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine, the MMR vaccine. And its undeniable effectiveness against measles, a disease which was declared eliminated in the year 2000 because of the widespread application of the MMR vaccine. So, now it's back. We are now experiencing an expanded epidemic of measles among unvaccinated people in 3 states. And as far as I think, can tell, and counted. What actions, what steps are you recommending to your constituents to ensure their safety?
Good question. Say, what would you like to say to her about keeping children safe, Tony?
Well, I think, frankly, that she should abandon her unquestioning support of Trump and therefore Kennedy for the safety of the community. She should support the ready and easy access to the vaccines so that everyone who has not had measles can get vaccinated, particularly children. She should also put a lot of pressure on Kennedy to start telling the truth. In other words, she should call him on what he says about measles and basically call on him to cease and desist his lies and propaganda about vaccines. Just as an indication of the implications of his lies and propaganda, it's been estimated that Trump's confused and contradictory positions on vaccines. Yeah, you bet. Made a large number of people very reluctant to get the COVID vaccine, and this resulted in thousands of deaths.
Even though he got it.
But this is, I frankly am in favor of everybody getting vaccinated with the MMR if you haven't had those diseases. But this is one of those thorny questions between community welfare and individual rights.
Yeah.
My perspective on this is that community welfare has to override, except in exceptional circumstances, that individual right. But, what do you think?
Good. Good question. And we don't have time for everybody to come up and speak individually, but on 3, I'm going to count to 3. I'd like everybody to yell out anything you would like to add to what Tony said. Just to get it out, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you. And so, thanks, Tony, for those comments, very important comments. And our next speaker, we have Damian Nylet. Would you like to ask your question?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Ms. Cammack, our country continues to promote war and presently the destruction of Palestine. What are you doing to ensure that the violence ends, Palestinians are given the peace, restorative aid, and dignity they deserve?
Thank you. Well, shocker, she doesn't have much to say about that. So what would you like her to say?
So if she were here, I'm sure she would dance around the statistics, even though everyone in this audience could probably cite a different statistic that basically destroys the legitimacy of Israel's actions. Since she decided to yield her time to me, let me say that from Veterans for Peace's perspective, all war is illegitimate. Statistics are not. But to me personally, the statistic that makes it clear Israel's actions go far beyond warfare is the fact they have killed 17,400 children. That's close to 30 children per day since this began 564 days ago. So to suggest this war has been carried out with any sort of precision, however retaliatory in action or in nature, is simply ludicrous, and it's clearly a genocide. Very likely planned long ago, they just waited until the opportunity to initiate it. And they found it on October 7, 2023. I'm pretty certain if, in an alternate universe, Mexico were to carry out similar tactics against us, Ms. Cammack would demand Canada stop supplying Mexico with military aid for the sake of her unborn child, if not for herself. So I'd like her answer to, I would hope that her answer would not be an attempt to justify war crimes at the end of the day. And if she tried to, I would demand that she try again.
We have a question now from Helen Warren. Is Helen out there? You would like to ask?
The empty seat.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Congresswoman Cammack, my father served in World War II as a military medical personnel working with the individuals that were coming back from World War II. And we are now looking at situations with what are we providing our military service people. Many military veterans, like Damian, risked their lives in the service of our country. They deserve to be treated with respect, dignity, and to receive the benefits that they were promised. The Trump administration is planning to eliminate 83,000 jobs at the Veterans Administration. These cuts will make lives more difficult than ever. After working on those military ships coming back from Europe to America in the Second World War, my father, our family moved to Florida for my father to work with the VA at Bay Pines. And he was so proud of that position. And he had so many relationships with veterans and helping them improve their lives and their health. I want to know what you will do to stand up for the service of our veterans and to enable them to get the health care and the other services that they deserve.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear a little mini meow, Commissioner Cammack. I want some serious response.
What would you like her to do if she were here? What would you tell her to do?
Well, Congresswoman Cammack, what I would like you to do is to recognize that so many of our veterans have been lured into military service with promises of benefits that they will receive. And I want you to stand by those promises and give those individuals every right and every condition for education and health care that they deserve.
I want to connect with what you said about your dad. I'm sure at our age, many of us in here had parents that served in World War II, mine included. My dad was in the Navy, he was wounded, and people like your dad were people that helped him back to functioning again, along with my mom, who was a Navy nurse.
Well, thank you.
But thanks for your dad's service and for those people that do that every day, and if they still have a job.
And they do those positions in the VA medical administration at a lower financial benefit than they would get if they had gone into private practice.
Sure, yeah.
But they did it for some kind of compassion
From
and
their
love
heart.
that
Absolutely.
Congresswoman Cammack, I hope you will respect and leave our world in a better place.
Thank you. And next we have a question from our friend Rhonda. Is Rhonda here?
Yeah. Congresswoman, my representative, well, I may not have voted for you, but you represent me. So I'm following up on the first question regarding the president's proposed rescind $1 billion in funding for public media. Now, what I want Congress to understand, and by the way, Congress already authorized this funding, that the majority of the money for PBS and NPR does not go to those organizations, but to local media outlets, including WUFT at the University of Florida, which employs hundreds of your constituents and serves 19 counties in the area, all of which are in your district. WUFT produces local news and weather, and that includes the headquarters for the Florida Public Radio Emergency Network, which, I don't know, we might need if there were, oh gosh, some kind of natural disaster. Okay, so this is so critical to provide information in preparation for storms and for recovery. So I want to know how you will vote on Trump's recommendation that Congress rescind votes that were already approved.
Right.
It seems that the cat has got her tongue.
Okay, all I'm asking is for Congress to do its job. I'm asking for you, Representative, as a member of Congress, to fulfill your obligation regarding the making and approving of the budget. That is Congress's defined job in the Constitution. And I would like the representative to realize that just under 50% of the voters in this country voted against Donald Trump, and 40% of the voters in your district did not vote for you. Yet you represent us, and I want you to consider that when you make your decisions, and I want most of all for you to do your job and vote on the budget out of control president.
Thank you. The next question is from a longtime friend of mine and probably yours, Peggy Bowie. There she is.
So,
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Representative Cammack. Last year, a majority of Floridians voted to restore a woman's right to control her own body. Despite this, abortion is still illegal in Florida after 6 weeks of pregnancy. You have gone on record many times opposing a woman's right to make her own decisions in these difficult and personal circumstances. Why do people like you want to control other women's bodies?
Good question.
Do you hear anything? I couldn't make out the answer.
Okay.
What would you like to say to her? What would you like to have her do, Peggy?
Very simply, I would say no woman should be forced to have a baby, and keep your goddamn hands off our bodies. And I want to say one more thing. I didn't mean it first, but I did. 57.2% of voters in Florida said yes to Amendment 4. We needed 60%.
Yeah.
But in Alachua County, 68% of voters said yes, the second highest county in the state. Thank you, Alachua County.
Thank you for that, Peggy. Here's a question from Michael Shields. Is Michael here?
I'm sorry. It's all right.
Well, Congresswoman Cammack, you support the president and you support his big lie. That big lie that he was cheated out of the 2020 election. You support this despite the fact that he won by over he lost by over 7 million votes, and that 60 court cases were held and not a single one did he prevail in that argument. No law agrees with you, but somehow it's gotten worse. Recently, Trump ordered 2 senior election officials, Christopher Krebs and Miles Taylor, be prosecuted for opposing his election lies. I can't find words to tell you how appalled and disgusted I am by his fascist behavior. So my question, do you think people should be prosecuted for telling the truth?
The ball's in your court. Whenever you're ready.
The silence is deafening.
Yeah. What would you like to say to the representative?
There's no disputing what the truth is. The truth will prevail. And it's the people in this room, in this county, in this state, in this nation that will make the truth prevail. I want you as my representative to hold the Department of Justice to its actual mission of upholding the law. I want the truth before party. I want my representative to stand for the truth, not the lie. And I want you to no longer be a quisling for this president.
Yeah, as we all have observed in the last year or more, the truth is now under assault. Not to mention, we've already talked about public media. I'm a theater person myself, and theater is under assault as well, all kinds of media. Trump has taken over as chairman of the board of the Kennedy Center, among other things. And so it's an artistic coup as well. Trying to take free speech out of every platform that's available, including public media, the theater, the radio platforms, the commercial media, the airwaves. And so, yeah, we have to stand up for that. I have a question for this group because I think I know the answer. How many people in here would have identified themselves as a hippie in the 60s? Most of us. Most of us. The events of the last year and a half have reminded me of when we demonstrated against Vietnam. They remind me of the fervor that we all felt as students back in those days to change the calculus, to change the conversation, and to help change the country. And I hope we can rally the same way this time. We're still here. Yeah, we're still here.
We need young people with us.
Yes, we do. Our next question is from Pam Smith.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening, Ms. Cammack. You have called our country's universities and colleges indoctrination camps. You seem to think that recognizing the diversity of American people and the diverse cultures in America, that's a radical idea. It shouldn't be taught in our great institutions. Please explain to us your idea of what the university should be teaching about American history and about social science in general.
Yeah.
We're getting a mum instead of a
I know, it took me 11 years to get my bachelor's degree with having little children, and I felt like my world opened up by being educated to the truth of the world. I can remember when I learned that other cultures thought that when I just assumed that the way I thought was the way to think. And so when I learned that I throw a ball to you, when I learned that the ball throwed and I was just a little part of it, it was an awakening to me. And this was in anthropology. So I think that our universities absolutely have to keep reminding us and teaching us about all the different ways to think in the world.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Pam. Our next question is from Shelby Havens. Shelby?
Hello, Ms. Cammack. On March the 28th, here in Gainesville, a 27-year-old UF student by the name of Felipe Zapata was stopped by a GPD officer due to traffic violations. He had a valid visa, which means that he was a guest in our country. He was arrested, jailed, and deported to Colombia. What type of due process are college students currently receiving in the United States? Do they need to be convicted of a crime in a court of law, or can the current administration deport them based solely on accusation?
What would you like her response to be if she were here?
So I would like the representative to say that college students who are legally in this country, like Mr. Zapata, will be allowed to have their day in court. They will not be forced to leave our country because of some traffic law or solely for speaking their mind about important issues facing our country today. I would like Ms. Cammack to support our most cherished traditions such as the right to free speech as well as the right to due process.
Thank you, Shelby. And that shows that it's not just out there, it's close to home, all of it. Here's one from a good longtime friend, Hippodrome founder and longtime friend Shirley Lassiter. She's also our official timekeeper tonight.
Yeah, I get to speak as long as I want. But I'll make it short. Representative Cammack, may I call you Miss Cat? Welcome. I'd like to ask you, well, give you some information, ask you how you would like to respond. The good news is that Trump's controversial approach to food safety only matters to Americans that eat. The FDA has had to lay off approximately 3,500 employees. Additionally, the agency has suspended quality controls for food, drugs, and dairy products. It has also suspended programs that ensured accurate testing for bird flu in milk and other parasites and pathogens in milk and other food products. In the last year, recalls for tainted food rose 41%. Cases of foodborne illness rose 20%, and related hospitalization rose 100%. So, how do you stand by and watch this happening, and what are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do? If she were here, what would you like to tell her to do?
Well, I had a dream, and it was a short statement, but she did come to me in a dream.
Oh, nice.
It was a little scary. She said, "I eat food like y'all do, and I don't want it to kill me. So I think maybe we need to bring back some more than inspectors."
Thank you, Shirley. I think we're going to all have to start living off the land again. Thank you for that. And now we have another speaker to step up to ask a question, Mr. Seth Hart.
Art Crummer.
Art. Oh, I'm sorry. It is you.
Oh, I'm definitely me. Representative Cammack. Our government is currently controlled by a small group of billionaires with no regard for our Constitution or the well-being of the non-wealthy. They control our politics, our economy, and our culture. Trump and his billionaire buddies are taking over our cherished institutions, and they intend to control America as if it were their own company. This is tearing our country apart. Are you okay with those in power placing personal profit above serving your average non-wealthy constituents?
Art, how would you like her to respond?
Well, I had two thoughts. My first hope was that she might declare, "I do not support the executive branch's power grabs. I promise to help keep our three government branches co-equal, uphold the Constitution, and encourage the traditional checks and balances of these United States. But on second thought, I'd like to hear you respond by singing. I'd rather live by the side of the road, help Florida folks with their heavy load, than to become a multimillionaire and live in mansions in bright array. I'd rather do a neighborly deed for a family here or a friend in need. I'd rather live by the side of the road, help fellow travelers along life's way.
We're very lucky to have our next guest with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because we're all talking about speaking truth to power here, obviously, and this gentleman is about to step up to do just that. He's going to run for Cammack seat. You're looking at a would-be champion of all the sentiments you've expressed here tonight. So please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, candidate Seth Hart.
Good evening, Greg. Thank you. I appreciate the mic. You know, 94 days. Seems like it's been a lot longer than that, hasn't it? 94 days that this man has been in office. So I've sat around like everybody else here in these 3 months and watched our great institutions torn to shreds, from top to bottom, north to south, east to west. And we do have 3 branches in the government, one that you're a part of. I've noticed recently that the 3rd branch, the one that is composed of 2/3, your party, the judiciary, the Supreme Court level, is being ignored. I don't know about you, but I know where I come from. You ignore judges. You ignore Supreme Court judges in rulings. That falls under the category of a high crime and misdemeanor.
Yes.
Which we all know is an impeachable offense. So I ask you, Congresswoman, the bastion, the party of law and order, that if you continue to see this monarch in chief abuse the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and ignore Supreme Court rulings, will you be filing impeachment orders?
What say you? Nothing. What would you like to say to her?
It doesn't matter what you do, because in 559 days, no, with all due respect, I want you to do your job. I want you to do what you were elected to do. And if you're not going to do it, there's somebody that's about 8 feet in front of you that will. I am asking for your ear. I am asking for your support. And in 559 days, I'm asking for your vote. Thank you very much.
And thank you for stepping up on our behalf. Thank you, Seth. We're going to move on now to the next questioner is Callie. Is Callie in the house?
I'm grateful to get to participate in this cat chat. I'm sorry you're not here to share some cat scat with us. I have a question about housing that I tried to discuss with you a year ago when I visited your office on Capitol Hill for an appointment that had been set for a month. Got there early and sat for an hour, ignored. So I still have this question. that I wanted to take back to my board at the Alachua County Housing Authority, but that didn't get any attention. What are you going to do to solve our critical affordable housing problem nationwide? And that includes increasing failure to support the public housing we have, as well as finding ways to construct and make available affordable housing. And furthermore, how will people even afford it when we're going to have a less educated population with things like in Florida, where we're going to destroy dual enrollment? Since we're going to have a less educated population, how are you going to make it possible for them to afford housing?
Such an important issue, and evidently there's nothing forthcoming.
Just like a year ago, didn't show up.
So what would you like to say to her?
I want her to stand strong to support the budget appropriation. It's called THUD, that includes housing. I want, at our state level, I know you're federal, but you have buddies in the state. This legislature has put so many binds on local government. The preemptions are becoming too many to count. Why do we even need local government? So we need to make it possible for local governments to establish a floor on which all builders of housing stand, to include affordable housing every time they build. And we can undo our economically segregated housing pattern that is causing people to suffer, that's affecting all the systems in our city, from police enforcement to mass transportation to schooling to everything.
Housing, obviously, is so important. 1 second. Oh.
Is she calling in?
I just
calling in?
I just got a text. 1 second. I just got a text from Ms. Cammack's personal assistant, and evidently she's here. Where? This is amazing. And she's at the back. She's at the door. Pleasant and unusual surprise. Great that you're here, and we've been discussing a lot about your complicity in, frankly, the destruction of democracy. And so, would you care to comment about what you're doing or not doing?
Nah, I'm just here to party with y'all. What? It's nice to be here in this wonderful place. What is it? Heartweed?
No. Although the weed thing, never mind. It's called heartwood, like, you know, the heart of a tree, the most important part of a tree. That's where it comes from.
Nice. Now, do y'all got any questions for me?
Yeah, we've been taking questions from the audience all night, and I have one here from Tricia Clark. Is Miss Clark here? There we go, right there.
Hello,
would you like
Ms.
to ask her
Cammack.
a question? Go ahead.
I would. After President Trump was inaugurated, he put together the worst, most incompetent, and least experienced cabinets this country's ever seen. Many say IKEA cabinets make better decisions. So my question is, why did he pick these people?
Well, your guess is as good as mine, but if I were to say, have you seen the jawline on those boys? And their hair, If you ask me, he picked the most handsome and delectable men he could find.
Priorities. Thank you so much for that, Kat. The next question is from Heidi Stein. Is Heidi here? There you go. Thank you. Do you have questions for Ms. Cammack now that she's actually here?
Yeah, I mean, I heard earlier this evening that you introduced to Congress the request to decrease funding for public broadcasting and for public television. And what's the beef with Big Bird? Well, that bird is just too damn big. I mean, he scares the hell out of those children. And don't get me started on that purple Teletubby.
Well, I mean, I grew up with Mr. Rogers on public television, and he was okay with me.
Yeah. I'm still having Teletubby nightmares.
That sounds like a personal problem. Thank you for the response. We've got a question here from John Campbell. John? There he is.
I just want to thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I knew you would show up. You guys had no faith in her. You have taken such tough questions. And thank you so much for being here. I know you missed some of the earlier part, but you would have done such a great job. And I just can't get over the fact that you're here. Aren't you guys excited?
Well, yeah, that's great. John, let me interrupt. I have to break some news, and it's incumbent on me as the moderator to do this. I hate to say this and be a buzzkill at this point of the proceedings, but I know it's going to come as a complete shock to you as well as the rest of the audience, but this is not Kat Cammack. I know, please. I'm just as shocked as you are, especially when she talked about Teletubbies. I thought, that's got to be her. But evidently not. This is actually a very talented actress named Lucy Stein. Thanks so much for taking on the role of an ass clown.
Don't insult the clown.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. No, all joking aside, folks, it's been a very important and interesting evening. We thank you all for all your comments. I know if we had more time, we could be here for hours because people have a lot to say. Yeah, and so thank you. Another hand for the chat. So this draws the evening to a close. I once again like to thank everybody for your heartfelt comments and your participation. And the ushers are passing out the lyrics and so forth. United we stand, divided we fall. This is a country of the people, by the people, and for the people. We are the people. We're the ones that are going to change this. It's not going to be some magical person stepping up and taking the reins of the government. It's going to depend on us. And it's going to depend on us to elect representatives like Seth to make this happen. As we fight for freedom on our planet, we seek to bring together this nation. So let's all come together with a song. I think you have some lyrics. Does anybody have a guitar? It's Mama Trish, ladies and gentlemen. And she just happens to have a guitar. Amazing.
All right, the caveat, I have a caveat is, I have not sung this song for 50 years. It was one that I learned when I was 6 and I was just starting to play guitar, so. And also, I think I have to add a little spin of my own, because I think all around me a voice was saying, "Nah, that's too nice. I think we should be shouting," because it's called for.
Yes, it is.
Okay, let's see. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking 441 highway, I saw above me an endless skyway. I saw around me amazing prairie. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled and followed my footsteps from the Main Street rallies to the Tesla protests, and all around me a voice was shouting, "This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me."
Mama Trish, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Glenn Terry. Thank you, Hartwood, Dave Milage, everybody. Thanks for being here, y'all. Keep fighting the fight. Stand up.